Hey everyone, and welcome back. This is it, part 3, the final and crucial piece of our journey with rational numbers. Today is where it all comes together. We're going to move from knowing what these numbers are to seeing exactly where they live. This is a skill you absolutely have to have, especially for your exams. So just to quickly recap, in our first 2 explainers, you totally nailed what rational numbers are. You got the hang of their properties, and you locked in all those identities. So you've got a really solid foundation to build on. So, you ready for the final mission? It's time to take these numbers out of the abstract and put them on the map. The number line map, that is. Let's get them placed right where they belong. All right, here's our game plan for today. We're going to kick things off with the basics of placing fractions on a line. Then, we'll take on the improper fraction challenge. After that, we dive deep into a classic exam question, how to find numbers between other numbers. And I've got 2 secret methods for that. We'll finish up with the key takeaways you'll want for your exam prep. Okay, let's get right into it. First things first, placing simple fractions on a line. You gotta master this because literally everything else we do today builds on this one idea. So the whole secret is just knowing the job of each number in a fraction. The denominator, that's the number on the bottom. Think of it as the boss. It tells you how many equal parts to slice a whole unit into. Then you've got the numerator on top. It just tells you how many of those parts you need to count. That's it. Let's see this in action. Take 4 over 9. The denominator is 9, so that's our rule. We take the space between 0 and 1 and we divide it into 9 equal little chunks. The numerator is 4, so that tells us where to go. We start at 0 and we hop 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. And boom, that is the exact address for 4/9. Okay, that makes sense for positive numbers, right? It's pretty straightforward. But what happens if we're dealing with a negative number? Turns out, it's pretty much the exact same idea. We just go in the opposite direction. So for -5/6, the denominator is 6. That means we divide the space between 0 and -1 into 6 equal parts. The numerator is 5, so we just take 5 steps to the left of 0. See? Same logic, different direction. And here is a major pro tip for your exam. Seriously, highlight this in your notes. The denominator always tells you how many equal parts to divide each unit into. That goes for the space between 0 and 1, 1 and 2, or even 0 and -1. The denominator is always your first step. All right, let's level up. It's time for the improper fraction challenge. This is what happens when that top number, the numerator, is bigger than the bottom number. That's a huge clue that our number is going to be bigger than 1. Now, don't let these scare you. There's a super simple 3-step process. First, and this is the most important step, convert it to a mixed number. That's your golden ticket. That mixed number will immediately tell you which 2 whole numbers your fraction lives between. From there, it's easy. You just divide up that little gap based on the denominator, just like we did before. Let's try one. We've got 7/4. Step 1, convert it. It becomes 1 3/4. That big number 1 tells us everything. Our number is past the whole number 1, so it's got to be somewhere between 1 and 2. Now we just focus on the fraction part, 3/4. So we divide the space between 1 and 2 into 4 parts, count 3 of them, and there it is. That's 7/4. Okay, let's talk about something you are almost guaranteed to see on a test. This is a classic. How in the world do you find a rational number that's hiding between 2 other rational numbers? So look at this. We've got 1/3 and 2/3. At first glance, it looks like there's nothing in between them, right? The numerators are 1 and 2. There's no whole number there. So how are we supposed to find a number that fits into that teeny tiny gap? Well, don't worry, I'm about to show you 2 incredible methods to solve this puzzle every single time. Think of these as your secret weapons for your exams. So on one hand, we have the mean method. It's super simple, super direct. On the other hand, we have the common denominator method. This one is way more versatile and really powerful, especially when the questions get a little tougher. Let's start with the mean method. The basic idea here is a fundamental rule in math. The average, or the mean, of any 2 numbers will always be found right in the middle of them. It's the perfect halfway point. And using it couldn't be easier. It's just 2 steps. First, add the 2 numbers together. Then, you just divide that sum by 2. That's it. You've just found the exact center. So let's try it on our problem. We add 1/3 plus 2/3. That gives us 3/3, which is just the whole number 1. Now, step 2, we divide that by 2. And 1 divided by 2 is 1/2. So there you have it. 1/2 is a rational number that sits perfectly between 1/3 and 2/3.
Okay, on to our second secret weapon. Here's another pro tip for you. The common denominator method is your go-to when an exam asks you to find, say, 5 numbers between 2 fractions, or even 10.
Remember how it looked like there was no space between 1/3 and 2/3? Well, what if we could zoom in? That's basically what this method does. We can create equivalent fractions by finding a bigger common denominator. So let's just multiply the top and bottom of both fractions by 2. Suddenly, 1/3 becomes 2/6, and 2/3 becomes 4/6. And look at that. All of a sudden, a gap appears, and 3/6 is sitting right there in the middle.
But wait, here comes the aha moment. What does 3/6 simplify down to? It simplifies to 1/2. That is the exact same answer we got with the mean method. It's a great reminder that in math, there can be a bunch of different ways to get to the right answer. Okay, that was a lot, but you guys did great. Let's boil it all down into your final study guide. These are the absolute must-know points for your exam. So let's lock this in. 1. Denominator divides, numerator counts the steps. 2. If you see an improper fraction, your very first thought should be convert to a mixed number. 3. To find those numbers in between, you've got 2 tools, the mean method, which is just adding them and dividing by 2, and the awesome common denominator method, which lets you zoom in and create a bigger gap to find as many numbers as you need.
All right, I'll leave you with this one last brain twister. We turned thirds into sixths to find one number, but we could have used 60ths or 6 millionths or 6 trillions. Since you can always find a bigger denominator, just how many rational numbers do you think exist between any 2 fractions? Chew on that one. You're going to do great on your exams.